Welcome into another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, we're covering some exciting Dynasty rookies from round one of the NFL Draft. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. So, our cover player, Xavier Worthy. So, we know that the Chiefs traded up for him. They traded 32, 95, and 121 for 28, 133, and 248 in order to pick Xavier Worthy at 28th overall. So, I mean, could there have been a better destination? I don't think so. So, we know that it's a dream spot. He can be the wide receiver one on the Chiefs. We have Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice. Suspension is looming. It could be 6 games, 8 games. I've heard a lot of those kind of things. So at the top of Superflex rookie drafts, we have obviously Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jane Daniels, Drake Maye, Malik Nabers, Roma Dunse, JJ McCarthy, Brock Bowers in tight end premium leagues. But I have Xavier Worthy at 109 right after all those guys. I don't see that changing based on day 2. I don't care. Running backs, wide receivers, wherever they go. Xavier Worthy is not going to move down from the 109. And I have him wide receiver 24 right off the bat. I love the fit for Xavier Worthy on the Chiefs. Now, I heard some concerns. People were saying, well, he's just fast. Well, these guys never work out. These speedy guys never work out. It's different. Xavier Worthy is a productive wide receiver who happens to be fast. That's different from a fast wide receiver who wasn't productive, who was overdrafted. There's a lot of those. That's your John Ross kind of player. Worthy is not that. He was very productive in college. Early breakout, early declare. Still just turns 21 later this month. He has everything going for him. I'm all in on Xavier Worthy. At wide receiver 24, I love it. Next up, Drake Maye. So I think I'd kind of resigned myself to the reality that Drake Maye was going to go to the New England Patriots at 3rd overall. And it's not great. Obviously, the Patriots didn't have another pick in the 1st round. So I assume they'll pick a wide receiver maybe, in the 2nd round. But it's not a good fantasy fit. There's not much in the way of weapons. It's kind of a mess there. KJ Osborne, Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry. It's not an exciting set of weapons on the Patriots. So he'll need to use his legs if you want to have fantasy value year 1. And I'm not expecting much from him in 2024, a low-end QB2. But I still have him as the 104 in Superflex drafts. Getting a quarterback in Superflex, especially someone who I think is a really good prospect in Drake Maye, I'm not going to be able to let him fall farther than the 104. But overall, there's a lot of good quarterbacks. I have him quarterback 17. So that's right behind Jordan Love and right ahead of Jared Goff. I just think that Drake Maye, I'd rather reset to go to Drake Maye. But if you wanted to take Goff over him, I wouldn't have an issue with it. I think Maye is closer to the tier with Goff than the tier with Love and Tua and guys like that. So I have him at quarterback 17, kind of, in a weird tier. But I don't know if he's going to be good year 1. We'll see what the Patriots do on day 2. Next up, we got to cover Malik Nabers. So again, kind of similar to Drake Maye and Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Caleb Williams, Malik Nabers, and Roma Dunse too. Malik Nabers went to the predicted destination that I had been predicting, the Giants at 6th overall. Now, for a fantasy fit here, he's a clear wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. That's good. We like to see that. But it's a weak quarterback in Daniel Jones. He's weak quarterback for supporting fantasy weapons. And he runs, which is even worse. The Giants have no path to fixing quarterback because the backup is Drew Lock. And who knows? Are they going to be bad enough to get a quarterback in next year's draft? The quarterbacks in next year's draft, are they good? I don't know. Could they get someone like Dak in free agency? Maybe. But it's not a great situation. I'm not excited for this team. So Malik Nabers may struggle a bit year one. I'd probably have him as a low-end wide receiver 2, just based on the talent. It's going to be hard to rank him lower in redraft. But I'm not expecting a massive year one. So I waffled between Nabers and Maye. They're a tier, kind of a mini tier to themselves, I think, at 104 and 105. I waffled on it, but I eventually settled with Nabers at 105. But, and this might seem a little crazy, I still have a wide receiver 8. It feels a little bit high, but if you look at wide receivers, after Malik Nabers comes A.J. Brown, who just got his massive contract extension, who's 6 years older. After that is Chris Olave, who has his own concerns. Brandon Ayuk, who has his own concerns. Tyreek Hill, who's 30, and Rome Odunze, Drake London. So, like, you know, Drake London hasn't really broken out yet. Rome Odunze, kind of similar problems. So I know the wide receiver 8 ranking seems high, but he's kind of at the top of that tier for me. Just because I think that his upside is the greatest of all of those players. And it's not particularly close. Next up, we got to talk about J.J. McCarthy. So we know he went to the Vikings, 10th overall via the Jets. The Vikings traded 11, 129, and 157 for 10 and 203. So they gave up a 4th and another pick swap to move up just that one spot. So they really wanted J.J. McCarthy. Even if they said they didn't, they really did. Just to move up one spot if they could have risked it. Now, for the fantasy fit here for J.J. McCarthy, it's the best fit for any quarterback. You get Justin Jefferson. You get Jordan Addison. You have T.J. Hawkinson. Great set of weapons. Kevin O'Connell, we saw what he did last year with terrible quarterbacks. He's a great head coach. So this is where you want to go. For someone like J.J. McCarthy, who honestly is a prospect, I'm on the fence. I like J.J. McCarthy. I don't love J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a fine player. I'm not... If he had gone to the Patriots, I would have dismissed him. But he didn't. He went to the Vikings. And I think we know that J.J. McCarthy did well on a good team with a good offense. And I think this is a good spot for him to kind of run that back. Given the Brock Bowers, who we're going to talk about next, landing spot was really bad. I actually have McCarthy as the 107 in Superflex. Now, some people I see having McCarthy ahead of Odunze. I disagree with that. Odunze to me is elite prospect. McCarthy's just okay. So despite I'm not going to overreact to landing spot, but I had McCarthy and Bowers kind of in the same range. So I have McCarthy ahead at this stage. And he's quarterback 19 in my rankings. I have him kind of in a tier with Bryce Young. Maybe close to the same tier as Jared Goff, but it's, yeah, a little bit ahead of Bryce Young, just because I really like the landing spot for McCarthy here. Now we're going to get to Bowers. Now we're getting to Brock Bowers. Went to the Raiders, 13th overall. This was not on my radar, I will be honest. I didn't think the Raiders were looking at offensive weapon. I thought the Raiders were looking at quarterback. I thought they would find a way to get, Michael Penix in this draft. I really didn't think they would be adding offensive weapons at all. So, yeah, they don't have Michael Penix, and they added offensive weapons. So I don't really get it. This is the worst landing spot possible. Devontae Adams, I don't think he's going anywhere. Jacoby Myers is still there. He actually was very good last year. Michael Myers is not going to take away from Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is going to be the starter. Michael Myers is dead. But you drafted him in the second round last year. What, are you just not going to play him ever? I mean, never? He's just going to sit on the bench? I would assume they're going to run some 12 personnel to get Meyer at least some snaps. So maybe this, takes Trey Tucker off the field, which would make sense. But yeah, there's no quarterback here. So this is not a good landing spot for Brock Bowers at all. But I didn't move him down too much. I still think Brock Bowers is an elite receiving weapon, but we know tight ends are situational. So I moved J.J. McCarthy ahead because quarterbacks in Superflex are worth a lot. He's in a good situation. So even in the tight end premium Superflex, I still have Bowers at 108, but we'll see how he comes out in versus those other players. But if it's not a tight end premium and you want to take Xavier Worthy over Brock Bowers, I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that. And my non-tight end premium rankings actually have Xavier Worthy ahead of Brock Bowers. And yeah, tight end 3. I assumed he would come in tight end 2, but I have him behind Trey McBride because I just think Trey McBride has shown enough that with the not so great landing spot for Bowers, I got to put him 3. If you want to put him 4 behind Kincaid, I don't have an issue with that, but we'll see. I just love Brock Bowers, so I don't want to downgrade him too much. I don't want to overreact. Draft capital was still there, even if the landing spot wasn't ideal. So if you liked the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/fantasyadvice. That's where you can get all of my rookie rankings, my Dynasty rankings. And it's the only place to ask me Dynasty questions. We're not doing that on Twitter. And only patrons get to ask advanced questions for the YouTube channel. And I have 4 of them here, so I will read them now. Thoughts on the Jaguars wide receiver room after Brian Thomas landed there? Well, we haven't talked about Brian Thomas yet on the channel. We'll get to him, I think, on the next video. But for me, I think Thomas is going to fit in really well as the other outside receiver alongside Gabe Davis with Christian Kirk mostly in the slot. Long-term, Thomas is the one that we want. Kirk, I think, is still going to be ranked first this year. Evan Ingram is there too. It might be a lot to go around. I would assume that Thomas, Kirk, and Ingram can all produce, and it probably just means Gabe Davis is just a deep threat, nothing else. But I do like the pairing with Trevor Lawrence. So, and this was the spot that I assumed Brian Thomas would go, although not as part of a trade back. Besides the Michael Penix Jr. pick, which I think we all know is the most surprising pick. What is the most surprising and least surprising pick from first round, and include non-fantasy picks as well? Well, to be honest, I don't know that much about what is and is not a surprise. For me, most surprising, Chargers not trading down. I really thought they should have traded down. Vikings waiting until 10 and getting McCarthy anyway. They really got a coup there. Adonai Mitchell not going in round 1, I think is very surprising. I'm not saying I disagree with it. Adonai Mitchell's not my favorite player. Now, did I like him more than Ricky Pearsall? Yes. So I think that was also a surprise. Ricky Pearsall going in round 1. Xavier Legette going in round 1 was not quite as surprising. And then Brock Bowers going to the Raiders was also a surprise. Least surprising, the entire top 4, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake Maye, Marvin Harrison Jr. That was the 4 that we always had. Nabers to the Giants, Odunze to the Bears. That's what I predicted in my final pre-draft exercise. And then the Eagles taking a cornerback. That was literally mocked everywhere. So I'm not surprised that they delivered on that. Impact of Xavier Worthy on Rashee Rice. So I have Worthy ahead of Rice. I'm a big fan of Worthy. I think it hurts Rice significantly. I am concerned. Like, we have a player. He had second-round draft capital. Now there's a suspension looming. The team added a good receiver in free agency. They spent a first-round pick on a receiver. What does that say about Rashee Rice? I don't know. Worthy's a great prospect who now has superior draft capital to Rice. So, yeah, I would say that it hurts Rice. I'm scared. Rashee Rice is a scary asset to me because he was good, but it's not like he was a superstar that's like unimpeachable. So, yes, I'm a little scared of Rashee Rice. Last one. Should team stock be a factor in who you draft? Obviously not the end all, but a consideration. Let's say I have DJ Moore, but I could also draft Rome Odunze. In a word, no. We focus on value. I don't mind having multiple players from one team. And players are traded. Things happen every offseason. I'm not taking Rome Odunze if he's the right player to take because I have DJ Moore. I'm not doing that. It's too much galaxy brain. We don't want to do that. We want to take the good players. We want to take valuable players. We can deal with having too many players on the same team later, or just play them and it's fine. They still score for fantasy. Once again, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/fantasyadvice. We can ask all these advanced questions and get all of the best content that I have to offer. But until next time, I want to thank you all for watching this video, for supporting me here on the channel, and I will see you all later.